Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk to you about Urgot runes and items. TLDR, nothing much has really changed, but there's been some optimization when it comes to around runes. The builds are pretty much the same with like slight variations in build path, so everything will be timestamped. Watch what you want to watch, and good luck on the Rift. So starting off with his runes. Right now, PTA is definitely his best rune page, definitively, but PTA is not always the best in slot. But if you are going to run PTA, I recommend press the attack into Triumph, into Legend Bloodline, into Cut Down. Now you're going to say, oh, why not Haste or why not Alacrity? The reason you run Bloodline is because it gives you maximum health. Haste is not really valuable in Urgot because W doesn't benefit from Haste, and you're only really going to get one E off in teamfights anyway, right? So Haste is worse than Bloodline in my opinion. Gives you Lifesteal, which is like whatever, but the 85 max health is the reason why you're running Bloodline. In your secondaries, I recommend Magical Footwear and Approach Velocity, and if you aren't running this and you want to be a little bit more aggressive with Ignite, I recommend Nimbus Cloak and Scorch. If you are a teleport player, I recommend taking Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. So, PTA, Triumph, Legend Bloodline, Cut Down with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight if you're a teleport player. If you're an Ignite player, I recommend Nimbus Cloak and Scorch. And if you want to be a little bit more defensive, I recommend you run the Second Wind with Overgrowth. There's also conditioning if you want to do this with teleport. This is pretty much like the default, I don't want to think about the game state, this is my rune page, blah blah blah, kind of rune page. Works in every matchup, but yeah, I do recommend Urgot players start trying out Ignite with Nimbus Cloak, it feels really good. I've been testing out on solo queue for a bit, had really good success with it. And what else have I been testing with? Dark Harvest. So this is for my Psycho Urgots out there who like to establish lane domination with Urgot from level 1. So the thought process behind this is that you want to kill your laner as much as possible and benefit from doing it. So when you're in a favorable matchup, like let's say Singed, or you're against a range matchup like Quinn, Vayne, etc., this rune page is a way that you get benefit while being in a lane like that, right? So Quinn, obviously you're going to kill her with E-Flash. Why not kill her with E-Flash and then also benefit from Dark Harvest, right? If you're against Vayne, you run Comet, she'll just dash it. If you're on PTA, you're never using it. If you activate Phase, if you take Phase Rush against Vayne, you can never use it. Dark Harvest is like genuinely a good rune when no other rune works, right? It is quite egoistic, so I like to run it into winning lanes. Like, you don't play Dark Harvest against Garen, you don't play Dark Harvest against Jax, even though these are winning matchups, you still want to run PTA against them. But any ranged top laner or matchup that definitively you know you're going to win, Dark Harvest serves a really good purpose of giving you a laning purpose on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is obviously Urgot's weakest time frame. So you're doing 2 points in Q, you're chipping them down, you take a trade that gets you both down to about 50% HP, but since now you're both at 50% HP, you can just keep stacking Dark Harvest over and over and over again. So Dark Harvest is the rune you take when you want to kill a frontline unit and then go beyond them, right? So you scale up Dark Harvest with solo kills in lane, you scale it up by damaging them under 50% HP, and then once you get into the teamfight era, you're already doing like an extra 350 burst damage because you stack this up so much. So if your team composition is front to back, Dark Harvest is really good purpose, but again, only in winning situations. Phase Rush. Phase Rush is tech against Nasus and Olaf and stuff like this. So the reason to take against Nasus is because Nasus does Emax, and he is pretty much just a hard counter to you in general, right? You also do this against Olaf. There'll be some background gameplay playing right now of me against an Olaf, demonstrating how I'm using Phase Rush to bully him. Quante is the person who discovered this, I believe. Could have been Yangus, but I think Quante is the one who popularized it. Not 100% sure on that, but Quante's the goat anyway. Secondary runes, I like to run Magical Footwear, Approach, or Cosmic, depending on your playstyle. Usually, if I'm running Phase Rush, I'm playing Ignite, so I like to, approach velocity towards them with my Nimbus Cloak. But if you're playing Teleport with Cosmic Insight, then yeah, this is really strong. The second variation to this is just playing completely safe again. This is like, I want to turn my brain off, I'm chilling, right? This is like a scaling rune page. There's also Scorch you can take here, so, usually mine would look like this. It will look like this. I think Scorch is like heavily underutilized, especially on a champion like Urgot. But these are all the rune pages currently available to Urgot. You've got 3 ways to play. All 3 are as equally as viable as the other. And About Biscuits, because every top lane in the game is abusing Biscuits right now. Biscuits is dead next patch. Next patch? Sorry, this patch, Biscuits are dead. So, don't run Biscuits anymore. They're getting them out the game, thankfully. So, let's talk about items. So, Urgot items. Black Cleaver is always going to be core, but what we're doing now with Urgot is we're introducing a little bit of lethality. So this is Quante's build, which I do heavily recommend. You start Dirk, then you build into BC, then you finish Youmuu's. Now you're going to ask why Youmuu's is not item nerfed, blah 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 blah. The reason you go Youmuu's is because, one, the Dirk spike gives you insane kill pressure in lane, while you're also building into BC, right? So you get the best of both worlds. You get the best part of lethality, then you get the best part of Black Cleaver. So you run the lethality to get some lane kills, you transition the gold you get from lane kills and lane domination into Black Cleaver, and then you finish Youmuu's, so you have more movement speed to kite out something like Garen. Garen is really weak to Youmuu's, because obviously if he can't press Q on you and do the QE, he's basically not a champion. So if you see Garen press Q, you press Youmuu's, he now can't catch you. After that, you want to go for Sterak's, obviously, and then your situational items are, you know, if you want to go a little bit more into lethality, you can go Edge of Night. If you want to go a little bit more into tank, you can go Jak Sho, Deadman's, Force of Nature. Very flexible build path. So in solo queue, I've been testing lethality myself, like full lethality, and what I've come to understand is Urgot likes Hubris. Again, this is for a winning situation POV. This is pairing it with Dark Harvest, and, you know, Hubris is very situational, but very good. What I like to do is Hubris into Black Cleaver, into Youmuu's, or Edge of Night. If I don't build Edge of Night first, I'll build it afterwards. If I don't build Youmuu's, I build Edge of Night. Edge of Night is a really core lethality item for Urgot, because it gives you health, and lethality, and a spell shield, right? So now that Orianna, who was pressing, you know, a slow on you, a W, to slow you, it gets blocked, yada yada yada. Edge of Night is just really good, heavily underutilized. But yeah, the lethality build path, I recommend taking it with Dark Harvest, but it also works with PTA. My Dark Harvest build path is Hubris, Black Cleaver, Edge of Night, Youmuu's, you know, vice versa, and then I finish it off by building Sterak's usually, because Urgot has high HP in general. My non-Dark Harvest lethality build path, which I pair with PTA, Ignite, and Nimbus Cloak, I do Youmuu's into Edge of Night, into Black Cleaver, Sterak's, and then I'll finish it off with either like Shojin or another lethality item, something that gives me more damage, right? Okay, two items I think that are slept on are Deadman's and Force of Nature. Well, I'm also going to say Redemption again, but, you know, I've already done my spiel about Redemption. If you want information about Redemption, it's out there. But Deadman's and Force of Nature are heavily underutilized by Urgot players. Force of Nature, obviously for MR, Deadman's for AD. But the thing about Deadman's is that the item's just really cracked in general, and I've been saying this for patches and patches and patches. You should be buying Deadman's. It just gives you a lot of movement speed, it gives you bulkiness, and it makes, like, champions unable to run away from you. So I think Deadman's is a really valuable item. Another item I think is slept on is Bloodmail. I think Bloodmail is underutilized. I think it's like one of those items you can slot in for the last item slot, and it gives you a ton of AD. I think on average it gives you about 120, 130 AD. So if you're a damage win condition, you know, Shojin and Overlord's Bloodmail, really good items. Jak Sho, I don't really fuck with Jak Sho that heavy, but I know Urgot players like Jak Sho. I just think Jak Sho is not really good on an individual standing with Urgot, unless you have enchanters. When I have enchanters, I like Jak Sho, but when I don't have enchanters, I don't like Jak Sho. The reason I don't like Jak Sho is because it scales with resistances, right? And usually Urgot doesn't buy more than 1 or 2 resistance items, so it feels a bit inefficient. Urgot also has no scalings with resistances, apart from a minor one on his E, but E scales more with bonus HP anyway, right? I'm more of a fan of going HP with a Sterak's reliability shield in teamfights, right? I'd rather have 5 items of HP AD than 3 items of HP AD and then 2 resist items, because I feel like your objective with Urgot is to kill an enemy champion and then disengage on that champion using the R fear, right? Once you've executed and gone in, gone out, you've done your purpose. So, Jak Sho, I like it when I have enchanters. When I don't have enchanters, I try to opt out of it. But Jak Sho third is fine. I just think there needs to be a little bit more flexibility from Urgot players when it comes to, like, hey, maybe Jak Sho isn't the best in slot here. Maybe I could go Deadman's and get around the map quicker, blah, blah, blah. But Deadman's I usually like building it on 4th and 5th. It's a good way to round out your builds. Force of Nature, I like to build on 4th and 5th also. Third item, I'd like to go, like, BC, Sterak's, Shojin. I think that's a good damage carry build. Then you can slap on 2 resist items if you want to be a little bit more flexible in the team fight. But that's about it, I believe. Next season doesn't really change that much. They changed Biscuits. They remove some objectives. Urgot pretty much remains the same, because they're not really changing the game in any significant way, unfortunately. BC Lethality build path, good. Urgot players should optimize damage items more often. Dark Harvest is good. Phase Rush is good. PTA is good. There's a lot of versatility with sub-runes that you should explore with, especially Nimbus Cloak. Nimbus Cloak is really, really good on Urgot. People are sleeping on Nimbus Cloak. People are sleeping on Deadman's. People are sleeping on Force of Nature. And Redemption. That's it, and I'll see you in the next video. Looks like we're going to be uploading a bit more consistently again. Obviously, my skin isn't ready, the War and Kingdom skin, if you're following the channel, but, you know, it's coming. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one, buds. Bye!